G'day, it's Jamie and welcome to Tananoola Tigers. Today I'm reading a few old newspaper reports about a Bengal tiger escape, attack and capture at Melbourne's Chinatown, Victoria in 1859. So we'll get into it. This first article was published in the Bendigo Advertiser on Tuesday the 19th of April 1859, titled Melbourne News. Some excitement was created on Saturday by the report that the Royal Bengal tiger from the menagerie in Bourke Street was at large. On inquiry, we learned the following particulars. Between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, one of the tigers managed to tear out half of the wooden doorway of his den and to steal quietly out of the marquee without disturbing the sleeping keepers. It appears that he immediately made towards Little Bourke Street, and in crossing the intervening waste ground, he picked up 2 or 3 fowls that came his way. There being no other means of egress on the side furthest from home, he entered the backyard of a house in the occupation of some Chinese. The inmates aver that the feline monster made its way up the stairs. This, however, does not seem probable, for upon the closest examination, there was not the slightest sign to show that such was the case. It was certain from some cause or other the residents were astir at this early hour, and that they were considerably astonished at their strange morning visitor. They shouted at the tiger, and brandished and flouted their blankets at him to drive him away, but their efforts merely provoked an angry growl. The tiger walked around the yard, evincing no disposition to clear out, till at length one man with great pluck ran at him, armed with a boot, and struck him with this novel weapon of offence upon the nose. The poor fellow suffered for his temerity, for the tiger immediately gripped him by the fleshy part of the arm close to the shoulder. The greatest consternation seized the crowd, who set up such a yell that they were succeeded in alarming the neighbourhood and driving off their dire enemy, who for the nonce seemed satisfied with merely proving his power. Dropping his prey at the noise, the tiger darted like an arrow over the fence and into the yard at the rear of the Royal Charter Hotel. A fine horse was standing in his way, and the brute fastened on the poor animal's hind leg, injuring it very seriously. In the meantime, the keepers were aroused, and a messenger was dispatched to Richmond for Mr. Billing. The tiger was driven into a corner, and a good watch kept on him, but no one dared to approach till Mr. Billing came. Most ingeniously and bravely did the Lion King set about securing his property. Quietly repairing the den, he had it placed on a dray and brought round to the yard, placing it with the open door just within the gate. He then entered the yard, armed with a heavy crowbar and a revolver, determined to sacrifice the brute rather than allow it to commit further mischief. As he approached, the tiger retreated into a corner, but as soon as it found its further progress cut off, it turned with the evident intention of showing fight. Mr. Billing, apprehending from its growling that it medicated mischief, pulled his trigger, but the revolver did not go off, being only on half-cock. He dropped his pistol and raised the crowbar for a strike. But at that moment, the tiger noticed his cage and, as if afraid of the consequences of further opposition, darted into the den with the celerity of a cat. All now was safe. He was conveyed to his quarters and effectually secured. The poor Chinese man was taken to the hospital, where his hurts were attended to and is now doing well. The end. Okay, so this next article was published in Melbourne's The Argus on Saturday, the 23rd of April, 1859, titled Police. Henry Billing, the proprietor of a species of menagerie in Bourke Street, was summoned at the assistance of the corporation for allowing a ferocious animal, to wit a tiger, to be at large on Sunday the 16th to the danger of the lives of public. The fact having been proved of the tiger being at large, Mr. Hamilton Stevenson addressed the bench in defence and said Mr. Billing evinced severe regret for the untoward occurrence and was extremely anxious for the recovery of the unfortunate man who had been so terribly mauled by the animal. He said the accident had happened through the over-caution on the part of the defendant who had, in his anxiety to prevent the possibility of the animals getting out, changed its cage the day previous to the accident and had placed 2 men specially to watch it. They had neglected their duty. Mr. Billing had paid the poor man's expenses and, from inquiry made at the hospital, had every reason to hope for his speedy recovery. He was even willing to have the tiger destroyed, notwithstanding that it had cost him £250. The bench said that was quite unnecessary. All that the public required was that if they were invited in to see these animals, great precaution should be taken to prevent their possibility of an accident happening through their getting loose. Mr. Martin recommended the animal being in future kept in a very strongly built cage. Having been assured that it was now perfectly secure, he discharged the case to the end. Okay, so this final article was published in the Moreton Bay Courier on Wednesday, the 11th of May, 1859, titled News and Notes. A menagerie of wild beasts is now exhibiting in Pitt Street. They are Mr. Billing's pets from Melbourne, and they include the amiable tiger who lately distinguished himself by breaking loose and wanting to quarter himself in a Chinese man's lodging place there. And wow, this is amazing, this. So they've he's changed the cage the day before somehow, and it was unsecure, and so the tiger's got out and no one knew, and it's eaten 2 chickens on its way across to Chinatown from Burke Street to Little Burke Street. And then the Chinese people have noticed it, and they're all screaming at it and waving blankets at it and didn't know good. And one bloke's got a boot and whacked it on the nose, which how brave's that? And then it's grabbed him by the fleshy part of the arm close to the shoulder and started to drag him off. And everyone started screaming at it. So it dropped him and bolted over a fence at the back of the Royal Charter Hotel. And there's a horse standing there, and it grabbed the animal's hind leg and injured it very seriously. And then they've kept it in the back of the Charter Hotel's yard until Mr. Billing came. And then so he's repaired the den and put it on the back of a cart, a dray, and then put that at the yard with the gate towards the fence. And then he's gone into the yard with a heavy crowbar and a revolver, and he's had a shot at it, and the gun didn't go off. So he's picked up the crowbar and raised it, and then the tigers realised that he's got this crowbar again, so obviously he's hit it a few times with it previously, and so it went back into its den. He didn't want to get hit. And then the poor Chinese guy got taken to hospital, and they said he was a speedy recovery. And then so he's gotten hauled in the court about this, and they've let him off with nothing. They just said, he actually blamed 2 men for letting it out. They neglected their duty, he said, when it was his fault. And he said he was willing to have the tiger put down, and they were like, oh, no, nothing to worry about here. It was only a Chinese bloke that got attacked. Nothing to really worry about or see here. And then the last article I read where he's moved to Sydney, and that was because he was going to be sued by the Chinese guy for getting attacked by his tiger. And so Mr. Billing has packed up all his menagerie and left for Sydney. And then this same tiger, I'm positive, Mr. Billing, I've done a story on him before called the Bengal tiger attack at Ballarat. And this same tiger, I'm positive, attacked a man called Knight at the George Hotel in Ballarat 3 years previously. And I've also got another story coming up about Mr. Billing and his tigers in the future as well. Okay, that's it for me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye.